Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. They say a week is a long time in politics, but 24 hours seems to be quite some time as well. For it was just yesterday when Rishi Sunak was coming out and saying that he still believed that the Tories could win the election. Here we are 24 hours later, and that dream or hope or whatever it was that he held in his tiny beating heart has evaporated and has left a little vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum. So what has his little heart been filled with? Well, I think acceptance. Acceptance that Labour are going to win. But he has got one corner of hope. And in that hope, he's saying, please do not let Labour have a majority. Let's have a hung parliament. So he's accepted that winning is off the table and that the very least they can do is reduce the Labour majority to such a point as it doesn't have an absolute majority, and therefore they can maybe save the day. I think it's a forlorn hope, but it is strange that in just 24 hours he's gone from I'm going to win this, I'm still going to be the Tory Prime Minister, to looks like we're well and truly buggered. Let's have a look. So you see, this is from LBC's webpage, but it is a startling admission and a change of heart, a change of direction. And I think reality has finally settled in to his tiny little mind. Sunak's last-ditch plea to voters, and he's like, please, 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 bended knee. It's strange, he's the only person I know who gets taller when he goes on his knees. Anyway, he says, deliver hung parliament to stop Labour super majority. And that's all he's got. He's got nothing else. There is nothing else. There's no hope for him. Well, except in his funny little mind where he thinks he's still going to be leader on Friday morning. Not a chance, sunshine. Rishi Sunak will issue a desperate plea to voters, desperate it is, 2 days out from the general election, urging them to return a hung parliament in order to stop a Labour super majority. On Tuesday, the PM will insist that the election is not a foregone conclusion. Has he not been looking at the polls? I think it is going to be a fairly foregone conclusion. The only hope we have, of course, is that George Galloway does his stuff and one of his guys knocks out Angela Rayner. That, of course, would be most satisfying. Anyway, Mr. Sunak is warning that if just 130,000 people in marginal seats change their minds, Sir Keir Starmer's Labour Party would be denied a super majority. So still accepting that everyone's still going to vote Labour then. So, there is that. He's finally realised that he's not the best man for the job. And that, screwing people over to clamber up the greasy pole is not the best way to do it when you alienate your colleagues, alienate your own party members, and alienate the country. And then, of course, there comes the day of reckoning. And Thursday is when the bill comes due. Mr. Sunak's warnings derive from a YouGov poll, which we looked at yesterday, which suggested Labour's predicted 200-seat majority would fall away if those people switched their votes to the Tories. Yes, but that's the same as any election, isn't it? Nothing startling there. If people's not voting for Labour, they won't win. Brains trust here, isn't it? Anyway, the term is largely associated with the government in America, and it relates to a specific proportion of the votes in excess of a simple majority. For example, needing 60% of the vote to win. Therefore, a supermajority. Critics have suggested the term has no relevance in the UK political system, as a party with a majority of 20 or 200 is just as powerful. Well, there is that argument. I would also, though, say that it's a load of bollocks. Of course you can have a supermajority, because if you've got, a majority of 400, say, all the committees and all the committee stage stuff is going to be dominated by one party. Just by dint of not enough people to fill the committees from other parties. There's that. There's also the fact that old man time and the illness that goes with it also plays a part. And if you've only got a majority of 20, you've got to think, a car crash here, a heart attack there, a couple of dodgy by-elections, somebody's caught with their knickers down, away they go, and it's a war of attrition over the next 5 years. You find that 20 majority whittling down. You know, if it goes from, if you lose one seat to, say, the Tories, that's a 2-seat loss on your majority, isn't it? So, who knows? You get a 20 majority, isn't that great? I mean, it's good enough to run a parliament, but not great. Anyway, on Tuesday today, Mr. Sunak will say that the outcome of this election is not a foregone conclusion. He kind of is, though, isn't it? He said if just 130,000 people switch their vote and lend us their support, we can deny Starmer that super majority. He says, just think about that. You have the power to use your vote to prevent an unchecked Labour government. And replace it with what? Indecision, squabbling, nothing getting done. It's a dodgy one, isn't it? Mr. Sunak will go on to say that a huge number of seats in the election will be decided by a few hundreds of votes. Well, it was always thus, wasn't it? He continues, so every vote we move will have an impact and make it more likely that your Conservative candidate is returned to Parliament so they can be your voice and represent your values and stand up for you. Well, there you go. He's just telling that's the end of the piece there. So he's just telling the truth, isn't it? Vote for us and we'll win. Well, it's not, startling, is it? But he's a man who's lost. And the thing is, he knows he's lost. And that's why this sudden change of stance, this sudden, oh my God, what's happening? I'm out of here. I'm done. Dusted. I better start making different noises from what I have been making. Otherwise people will think I look rather foolish. Too late for that, Rishi. Way, way, way too late for that. Reality sucks, doesn't it? Let's come up, we'll round off and finish the video. Got to give him his due. He's full of hubris. He thinks he's going to win his seat in in Richmond and Northallerton. I mean, he probably will, but it's not guaranteed. And he is going up against the likes of Count Binface. Big challenge to him, because there'll be enough out there voting for Binface just out of spite, I think. So there's no guarantee he'll even keep his seat. And even if he does, he then was going, I'm going to stay on as leader of the party. I'm going to stay on as Prime Minister. We can still win this election. The man's delusional. He'll be lucky. He'll be lucky to still be there. But then all of a sudden, bang, reality's hit him. He realises now he hasn't got a chance, but he wants to go out making the right noises so he doesn't look stupid. Then he'll say things on Friday, well, it was always going to be a challenge and we knew we were going to, blah, 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 blah. No bollocks that they always come up with. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe, subscribe, not describe, entirely different buttons. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.